Picture this scenario. You've had an aha moment, maybe from a dream you had, or maybe from an encounter with someone that's left you with the realization that you're not living the life that you really want to have. So, what do you do about it? Do you have a pity party with yourself and lament the bad breaks that life has given you? Or do you step up and take the action on the changes you need to make to achieve your goals? If you're living your dream life, of course, the answer is the latter. But where do you start? For answers, I'm happy to turn to my special guest today, Chad Cooper. Chad certainly knows a lot about success. As one of the nation's elite lifestyle coaches, Chad has guided athletes, celebrities, and corporate officials to reach and maintain their high levels of success. On a personal level, he's become an Ironman athlete, a devoted family man, and humanitarian leader. Chad has boiled down his philosophies on reaching success into his book, Time Isn't the Problem: 4 Strategies to Turn Stress into Success. Welcome to the Dream Power Show, Chad.
Well, I am delighted and excited to get started. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You know, Chad, one of the amazing things about you that I discovered when I first met you was the number of items on your personal bucket list you've been able to achieve. And I believe at one point you were aiming for the Guinness World Record for achieving bucket list items. Are you there?
Apply for the Guinness World Book of Records for 900 of the most popular bucket list items to achieve before the age of 40. And they said, clearly I have achieved, and clearly it is something that should be honored. But it was a subjective interpretation of they couldn't come to agreement on what 1,000 bucket lists, what are the top 1,000 and get proper agreement. So they said, thank you very much, keep it going, and we can't give it to you because there's too much subjectivity to it. And I said, that wasn't the point anyway. The point was to celebrate and to live life fully.
Absolutely. Well, Chad, the reason I started with your bucket list is because I think it best represents your attitude about how to tackle life. Why do you think so many people never even try to stretch themselves in the way that you have?
The world's changed, Debbie. And the question is, have we adapted successfully to those changes? Peter Drucker says the number one problem that we face in our society today is not war, is not poverty, is not food shortage. Our number one struggle is the inability to manage oneself. And so the reason that I have been able to succeed in so many facets or roles in my life is because I've understood the art, the mental and the spiritual and the mechanical sides of managing myself, and then been able to leverage and repeat those tools. So there is a process that we need to do and then connect with the spiritual side in order for us to achieve. And if we can't manage ourselves, good luck with managing your finances or your relationships or your career.
Okay, so let's get back to what I said in my intro. Suppose you wake up one morning and realize that you want to shift your life's goals. What is the first step to take?
First step is to really appreciate and understand we all feel called to be born in this world to do something. And the question is do we have clarity on what our life purpose is? I think for many of us, we have a sense. We start doing something and go, oh, will that get me there? But we don't really understand the vehicles that we bring into our life and how those vehicles, like our career choice, our relationship choices, our religious choices, etc., how those specifically are meeting our needs and our wants. So the first step is really to get an understanding of what is my life purpose, to get really clear. Because otherwise, it's just kind of like wandering around in the desert, Debbie, and hoping that you're going to find Shangri-La before you run out of water. But most of us end up starving out in the desert, wandering around lost.
So, do you have any tools on things people can do to help them figure out what their purpose is if they don't know what it is?
As Mark Twain said, the two most important days in his life was the day he was born and the day he discovered why. So the easy part was the day you were born. You didn't have to do a whole lot there other than ask for a blanket or somebody to wrap you up and keep you warm and feed you, right? The second part is determining our why. And what I would invite our friends in audience to do is to grab a pen and paper. And it really works best to actually have a pen and paper as opposed to digital. There's something called the reticular activating system that when we write things down, we tend to actually retain them and learn from them better than just speaking or typing them on a keyboard. So literally grab a pen and paper. And what I would invite you to do is to write out in as much detail as possible, not like a sentence, but like paragraphs of the 7 to 10 happiest memories that you can think of, from as early on to recent, the 10 most profound and impactful experiences and memories that you can think of. Were you with somebody? Was it indoors or outdoors? What were you doing? Were there certain smells? Get as much detail as you can. And once you have 7 to 10 at a minimum, is to then go look at what are the emotions and circle them, underline them, or highlight them, do something that identifies the emotions and feelings in each of those. And what you're going to see is a common set of words or emotions and feelings that keep repeating. And those that repeat the most are your core values. See, when we know our core values, then we can find vehicles in careers, in houses, and all those material things that we say, yeah, it meets those values. And then you know that you're actually moving in the right direction. Those values are kind of like our north compass, our beacon to keep us pointed in the right direction. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So once you have those core values, how do you then uh, use them to create success in your life?
First part is really discovery of what's my mission or my purpose in life. And then it's about identifying and getting really abundantly clear on intentional language. Language matters. And I can say the word, for example, father or mother. And for some people, there's just great emotions of endearment, of gratitude, of joy, of love, etc. And for others, that word is conjuring up pain, in suffering, in abuse. So our language matters. And so the first part is really understanding our purpose in a foundation of purpose and language. But then we get to a point where we say, okay, great. What do I do from there? Well, we need a framework or some tools to actually execute or implement those. And so those tools are really, in a nutshell, I would call that the rule of 168 hours. 168 hours is 1 week worth of time. And it's the great equalizer, Debbie. You get no more, no less. It doesn't matter your economic background. It doesn't matter your gender. It doesn't matter your demographics. It doesn't matter anything. It is the great equalizer. Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, Warren Buffett can't buy 169 hours. It's how we use it that separates us. So if we know what our values are and our purpose, and we have a framework of how to maximize that 168 hours with persistence and consistency, then we have the ability to actually elevate and live what I would call a legendary life. And those are as unique as our fingerprint. You got to stop subscribing to society's definition of here's what it means to be epic or legendary, but by your definition, by what you see fulfills you. So there are some specific tools. One is, can you actually break down and see how effective you are? Average person is about 15 to 23% productive per week. My students are 92%. So the tools that I have them use are giving them persistent and consistent high-level results.
So what would be an example of one of those tools that enables somebody to go from having a low percentage of effectiveness to the high percentage that your students have?
Let me give you a story. A client of mine took care of elderly people. And she got to a point where it became monotonous. And she said, these people are angry. They're crotchety. They're can be mean tempered, etc. But I want to just serve them. I want to bring some sunshine into their life. And I said, well, what is the purpose? What we did is we found out the purpose. And she says, well, I just want to give them some sunshine. I said, well, what if you actually put that as the appointment subject line every time that you went to meet with those clients? Because, well, if my purpose was actually just to give sunshine, then I actually know what my outcome is. I know why I'm doing it, and I can do that with joy, and I can bring them that joy. And so the thing that I would offer to our friends that are listening is, what are you actually putting in the subject line of your appointments? It's the thing that hits us constantly all day, whether that's on an electronic watch, whether that's on your smartphone or on a piece of paper, is we all live, breathe, and die by a calendar. And if you say you don't have one, you got one here. So we all live by 168 hours. The question is what are the subject lines that you're reading day in and day out? Are they limp language? Are they neutral, like the word workout? Or are they empowering? Are they connecting you back to the strength of your purpose? Or are they just simply subject lines that are like about discipline? Go work out. I mean, nobody wants to work out, Debbie. It's a terrible subject line. But what if it was leading by an example of what character and health are to my children? What if it was somebody that is older that said, being in shape to be able to play with my grandchildren at any age, right? What if it was taking a break to be able to play with my children before making dinner? Whatever that is find what's goodness. Find the purpose in that event versus just going through it like a zombie in, a hypnotic state.
Chad, we were talking about the importance of having a schedule and the importance of really maximizing those 168 hours that we all have in our life. But so many people have trouble struggling their roles as worker, spouse, parent, child, which often makes them end up feeling stressed out. So keeping away from just the work life, how can we use this the 168 hours to our best use in our entire life for everything that we do?
I think what we've touched upon at this point, saying we need a strong foundation, then we need a tool set or a framework, a system that can support us in a 21st century world, to know that we are 24/7 basically today, right? That more people will come back. It was like 87% of people will come back if they left their smartphone at home versus something like 63% if they left their wallet. So that tells us that we're always on today. But if we fill our calendar with just gotta do experiences or have to do moments, then what we end up doing is really creating a week or 168 hours of things that drain our batteries. And so what I would invite our friends to do is to look at your calendar, 7 days. Just look at the next 7 days and ask yourself, is what's showing up draining your batteries or recharging your batteries? Look at a specific item and ask yourself, does it drain your batteries at the end of that activity or does it charge it? Because the things that drain our batteries are the things that we don't understand what's the purpose. And when we don't understand what fulfills us, we risk being led towards brokenness. And it's kind of like smoking cigarettes today, Debbie. You know that they kill you. You know they compromise your logic for short-term emotional fixes. And only then emotionally do we feel guilty for the poor decision and feel even worse. But there's nothing about smoking that recharges your batteries. So we need to acknowledge that brokenness is a feeling. It's a feeling that we're disconnected. And I think that's really what you're kind of touching on there, is that we want to feel connected. We want to be able to feel like this precious time that we have per week is being utilized wisely.
We've been speaking with elite lifestyle coach Chad Cooper all about success on the Dream Power Show today.